Okay, so welcome everybody and the thousands of people around the world that are tuning into this.
Yes. Woo! How is it getting better than this?
Can I start with saying I am so grateful for all of you and everyone out there who is reading this book and looking at something different with relationship, because this is what we wrote it for. I mean, we have created a relationship for the past 8 years that has been something different. I don't know about any of you guys, but for me, in growing up, I didn't see any that worked. And even when we created our relationship, we had this place of looking for everywhere where it wasn't going to work, not how we could create it. When we realized we were doing that, we changed. So this book is really about getting people to be free on the topic of relationship and getting them to have more ease with it. Okay, getting you guys to, if you desire a relationship with another person, you can have ease with it. It does not have to be struggle.
If you're going to choose a relationship,
choose
a great one. And as Brendon said too, it's interesting. I mean, this book is filled with a lot of stories about our relationship and also about the tools that we use to create a great relationship. It is, for any of you guys who have read it yet, you'll know what we're talking about. It's incredibly vulnerable. We tell you everything. We don't leave anything unsaid. We talk about money, we talk about sex, we talk about parenting, we talk about friendship, we talk about being male, being female, being all of it. And I remember when...
well, we also talk about relationship.
Yeah.
You know, hence the title. But it's like we talk about the relationship and the insanity that is around it on this planet. I mean, it is crazy. If you ask people to tell you about their relationships, the shit that comes out of their mouth is like, you would live with that? For what reason? But it's like, like I said, we want you guys to get to this place where you can create something different with it that works for you. Because I could tell you about great relationships and you would look at it and go, well, that wouldn't work for me. So it's not about us telling you that we've got it right, because we did not, and we did not have it right. It's about getting you to see that you have a different choice with it and what's going to work for you in a relationship.
And I remember years ago too, when we first started, I don't know what you want to call it, dating, seeing each other, and we were hanging out together. And at one point, Brendon's mum actually said to us, okay, because she said something about us being in a relationship, and we said, we're not in a relationship. And she goes, okay, I need help. And we were like, all right, what's up? And she goes, I see the way you two are together, and if I'm going to create a relationship, that's what I would like it to be. But you guys say you're not in a relationship. And she goes, what the fuck is it? And we went, oh, okay, we finally have to sort of like come to terms that we might be in a relationship.
It's a friendship.
Like the way he moved in, when we created our whole relationship really, I'm going to say, on like this casual sort of energy. We came back from a 7-day event with Access Consciousness, and I was living in a 2-bedroom house, and he would quite often stay over. And we came back from this 7-day event, and he looked at me and he went, I need somewhere to put my clothes. And I went,
and at that stage, I had 3 outfits.
Not many clothes.
I had 3 outfits.
Exactly. So he was requesting like this much of the wardrobe. And I looked at him and I went, are you moving in?
Like this much.
And he goes, yep, I guess so. And we're like, all right. And that's how we moved in. But that's how we created everything. Like even when we bought a house together, we were like, I remember Brendon saying to me, I need to get a bigger house, because he had a dog and a kid. And I went, okay, thinking, okay, he's going to move out and find a bigger house and do all this. And he looked at me and he went, with you? And I went, oh, all right. And we ended up getting the house next door and moving in. But everything we chose was really based on following the energy, even though I don't think we quite realized at the time how much we just sort of went, okay, next choice, next choice.
We also listened to what was going on for the other person, because most of us in relationship created on past tense. We're created on what's been before in relationship, or how our parents created relationship, or how our friends have created relationship. And for us, we started seeing these places where we went, because this has happened before, it's going to happen again. That's not how you create a future in your life, ever.
And how many of you have had a really bad, shitty relationship? Yeah. So we both had two, and we both swore to ourselves, like not with talking to each other, but we both swore to ourselves that we would never, ever, ever, ever do that again. I mean, I don't know about you ladies out there, but nearly every man I chose, and if anyone's watching on live
what about
stream
the
that
men?
I chose.
They choose men too.
But I chose the men who would judge me and my body that would match the judgments I had of myself, so that I could not become more of me, so that I would always have those judgments that would be so present. And Brendon was the first person that I was in a relationship with that didn't judge me or my body. And it was like, wow, that is such a different energy to be around, and such an amazing energy that is actually available to each and every single one of you. It's like, so how many of you have been doing relationship based on this reality? How many women out there look for, the man who's going to be like 6'2", I don't know, Harvard education, drive a certain car, he's going to be a certain age, he's going to earn a certain amount of money, rather than what is it that you would like to ask for to show up? What if it was an energy? What if it was asking for kind, caring, and nurturing to show up? And I'm also going to ask you, how many of you are actually willing to receive the kindness?
Well, and also, how many of you desire a relationship?
Truth. Let's look at this for a second.
The name of the book?
I want you to, no matter what you're in, even if you're sitting next to your partner right now, your husband, your wife, your lover, whatever it is, look at the question, truth. Do you actually desire a relationship? Yeah, what's the energy that comes up in the room? No.
Gross.
You know, the word relationship means the distance between two things. So what if it was something else that you were asking for? What if it was more of a communion? What if it was something you were asking for that would contribute to you and wasn't the definition of relationship as this reality tells you of what it should be?
Well, and one of the things we talk about a lot in this book is having a relationship with you. And what we learnt, and every tool that we've talked about in this book as well, is we knew that if we weren't willing to have those tools, if we weren't willing to go to those places for ourselves, we couldn't have it in a relationship. If you're not willing to be kind to you, you cannot receive kindness from another person. You cannot. If you're not willing to be true to you, you cannot have that with another person. So it all starts with, what relationship do you desire with yourself? That's why the topic of relationship is very interesting, because most people think, well, to have another in my life is relationship. What about you? What if it started with you and what you are willing to have for you, and then could have anything you desire with another?
And how many of you decided that in a relationship you want to own someone? I like the way some of the women laugh.
Ladies,
that's great. At least you're acknowledging it.
I'm mainly going to say ladies, but gentlemen also. If you desire to own somebody, then maybe get yourself
a puppy. And if you desire to train someone, get a puppy.
And one of the things we wanted to do with this book and tonight is be as light and as funny with this as we can, because people make it so serious. We want to show you guys the jovial side of relationship, the fun side of relationship. It doesn't need to be all about, oh, I'm in love forever. We're going to, hey, you know what?
What, Brendon?
We did end up in rocking chairs.
We did too. Here we go. We did it. Excellent.
We did it.
Yeah. But you know what? One of the things that Brendon and I looked, so if you don't know, Brendon and I are in a relationship for 8 years, and about 5 months ago, we chose to uncreate our relationship. So we chose to break up the relationship. Now, the interesting thing is, it's like, people look at us, the other day we were making videos and Justine went, are you sure you're not in a relationship? But you know what? We actually care a lot about each other.
And we've horrified Justine in the meantime.
And it's like, we care a lot about each other. Just because we broke up the relationship doesn't mean, we were on TV the other day and they were like, I can't believe you're sitting on the couch together and not fighting and not arguing. And we were like, why would you? Like, just because you broke up a relationship doesn't mean that you have to hate each other. We always said, what if you could, every day you wake up and say, okay, is this working for me today? And if it is, you choose it. And if it's not, then you start to ask some questions and have a look at it And then you can also, like if you choose to break up a relationship, celebrate it. It's like get a bottle of champagne and it's like, and celebrate it and say, hey, thank you so much for these years that we've spent together. And now what else is possible? Now I say that too, and we used to say that a lot. And it's also not the easiest thing in the world. Like we had some hairy moments. At one point, we literally got a bottle of wine, went out into our veranda and went, all right, we've got to be willing to have World War III here. And we went out into the veranda and we were willing to yell at each other, have World War III, tell each other everything we hated, do all of that. And it ended up being one of the greatest conversations we'd ever had.
Why?
It was amazing.
Why was that though?
Because we were willing to actually say what was.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And that's the thing in relationship. When you're willing to do what's true for you, then you can have a different level of receiving with the person you're in relationship with.
And we've used the tools of access consciousness. And can I tell you, throughout, when we actually finally went, all right, we're in relationship, like what's that going to be like, there was a lot of moments where, if we had done relationship according to this reality, it wouldn't have worked out. Like I remember this one time, we have a house across the road from the beach, and I don't even remember why I was cranky at Brendon. Probably because he was just a man. I'm just kidding. But am I?
And an asshole.
And I was just cranky at him. And I was across the road at the beach, and Gary Douglas happened to ring me, and he goes, "What's going on? What's up?" And I was like, "Rah, rah, 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 rah." I'm cranky at Brendon. And he said, "You know what you need to do?" And I said, "What?" And he goes, "You need to go home and you need to make it all about him." Now, I don't know how many of you guys have been in a situation like this where all you want to do is make it about you. And all I wanted to do was make it about me and how right I was and how wrong he was. And when he said that, like that tool, that one tool, will create so much for you in relationship. Go and make it all about them. And I went, you know what? All right, everything that I have done previously doesn't work, so I'm going to go home and do that. So I walked in the house and I just started talking to Brendon and being present with him and making everything about him. And how, because I was grateful for him. I did. I did. Because I am grateful for him. Like underlying everything, there's a whole lot of gratitude. So I was being grateful for him and making it all about him. And I'm not kidding. Within 10 minutes, he was going, "What can I cook you for dinner tonight? Would you like me to make you a drink? What do you want?" And I was sitting on the couch going, "Oh my God, this shit works." And I was like, "This is awesome." So, and these tools of access consciousness, which we talk about in every single page of this book, work. And you probably will not like all of them.
You'll probably not like all of them.
I reckon you should get the book and you underline the ones in red that you go, no, 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 I'm never going to use that.
Which will be all of them.
And then if you try just a few of them, your life and your relationship might be just a little bit easier.
And one of the things that we learnt with it all was the things that we resisted the most were the things that created the most change in our relationship.
And if you're going to choose relationship, like we said, have a great one. Have fun. Like, what if the purpose of relationship was actually to have fun?
What?
Yeah, have fun. I mean, we had a lot of fun.
Fun?
And it's interesting because one of the questions, we had a few questions that were sent in, and one of the questions that was sent in was, how do you know basically when the relationship is done? And it's like, for us, it's like we had so much fun in the relationship, and we have fun now. And we also knew that there was this place that was like, okay, have we done what we were meant to do together? Because what if you were not right and you were not wrong for choosing relationship or not choosing relationship? One of the first classes I ever went to with Gary Douglas in Sydney, Australia, was an evening class. And my point of view was always, I don't want to do a relationship because I can't see a good one. Why would I choose one? How many of you have that point of view? You're like, oh my God, But in that, can you hear the question? Yeah, there's no question, okay? I was like, I'm not doing a relationship because I can't see a good one. But the first time I ever went to a seminar with Gary and he spoke about relationship, I walked out of the room going, oh wow, I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong for not desiring to get married and have kids. It's just a choice. And all of it is just a choice. And then I did realize, I went, oh, I'm actually functioning though from a no choice universe. Because in my world, in my reality, it was like, I don't do relationship. So if I had that point of view that I don't do relationship, there's no choice. It's sort of like, if you're vegetarian and you say, I don't eat meat. It's like, what if every day you woke up and went, oh, I prefer not to eat meat. You prefer something, but I was locking in this conclusion, I don't do relationship. So as soon as I realized I had that limitation, that conclusion, I went, okay, I don't desire to have any limitations or conclusions, so let's change it. So I did change it, and then Gary said to me, you need to sleep with Brendon Watt. And I said, why? And he said, because you'll find out what it's like to sleep with someone who's kind, caring, and nurturing. So I did my homework. And I did find out what it was like to be with someone who was kind, caring, and nurturing and not judgmental. And then 8 years later, we choose to...
I love the energy that brings up. That was fucking awesome. Now everyone
There's
wants to...
people clapping, the translators are
Now
clapping.
everybody wants to do their homework.
I know. I'll be signing books and you'll be grabbing phone numbers.
Yeah.
Hey, you're welcome.
Yeah. Security.
But the interesting thing is, like I said before, how many of you are actually willing to have someone who's kind in your life?
Relationship is a creation. Every day. You don't meet the perfect person and then they stay perfect, because then you are in judgment anyway.
Well, perfection is a judgment.
You got to look at it from the place of, okay, how do we create this now that we have this platform that works for us?
What if it was more about contribution? What if it was about two people contributing to each other, whatever that may be, and it can look really, really different. I mean, I remember the day when Brendon told me that he, owed all this money. It was to the tax department in Australia. And I remember sitting there looking at him going, oh, okay. So I thought that's what you would tell someone before you bought the house. All right, so what are we going to do now? I went into question. It wasn't like, why would I get angry? Why would I do that? It was like, no, okay, let's ask questions. What are we going to do about it? Because we do have a house together. We're in a relationship. So what can we create together? And what if relationship was about creating at least 20 times more together than when to look after you? What if it's literally about contribution?
A great relationship is where you know you can rely on somebody. Simone and I relied on each other for different things. So I could count on her for things and she could count on me for things, but that's that place where you know that in that relationship you'll contribute to each other. So it's not about you have to be one and then you have a relationship. It's about seeing where you add to each other's lives and adding it.
It's interesting though too, because so many people put money and business together and they put relationship and sex together. It's not like that. Relationship is relationship. Sex is sex. It's just copulation, putting the body parts together.
Well,
and then relationship, what's that?
Keep going. I was Batman.
And then relationship is something entirely different. And what if you could create a unique, different relationship if you desire one? And if you don't desire one, that's okay too, okay? I really want you guys to get that, because the amount of questions that are coming out, especially from the media at the moment too, about what do you say to single people? The lepers over there, that they're single. It's like, what do you say to the lepers over there who are, you're less than? It's like, you're not less than. It's just a choice. And can I tell you, if you're not in a relationship and you keep saying you desire one, you don't want one. If you're not in one, you don't want one. That's the way it works. It's like you might be bitching and moaning that you'd like one, but if you don't have one, then you're not in, then you don't desire one, because what you are creating right now is what you actually desire. So if you would like one, then start asking for a great relationship to show up.
And start looking at what's great about you. Okay, if you can start from that place and start actually looking at yourself in the mirror and liking who's looking back at you, then you have a possibility of creating a great relationship. Okay, if you're looking at that person in the mirror and there's something missing that you need to find in somebody else, or you need somebody else to tell you that is there in you that you've already decided is not, your relationship is always going to be based on need of that other person.
No one's going to complete you. You actually have to choose that. Okay?
So that's pretty much all I have to say.
Yeah, me too. That's a big fucking topic.
The rest of it, read the book.